Hi everyone, my name is Chelsea Cronengold and I'm NEDA's Communications Manager. Today I'm here with Dianne Bondy, a social justice activist, author, accessible yoga teacher, and the leader of the Yoga for All movement. Dianne's inclusive approach to yoga empowers anyone to practice, regardless of their shape, size, ethnicity, or level of ability. Dianne is revolutionizing yoga by educating yoga instructors around the world on how to make their classes welcoming and safe for all kinds of practitioners. And as a special treat for all of you, at the end of this conversation, Dianne will be leading a just 10 minutes yoga practice, so stay tuned. Welcome, Dianne. I'm really excited to chat with you today for today's NEDA Connections, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me, Chelsea. It's nice to meet you virtually, but in person, sort of.
Exactly. That's the way the world is right now, right?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
So let's dive into the questions. I'm sure everyone's going to be eager to get into that yoga practice. So what does yoga for everyone mean to you?
It means that regardless of your body shape, size, ability, ethnicity, orientation, how you identify, that there's a place in the practice for you. And when I first started yoga, I started yoga with my mom, just, messing around in our basement, playing with yoga shapes. And I noticed, it was something that I could connect with my mom with, that there was no expectations around what my body could do in the poses. We just went through a book, chose poses, and played, right? Just learned how to move our bodies, which is the first way as humans we learn anything is through play, right? So we would just play with these poses. It was some downtime for my mom. It was some mommy and me time. I did it when I was very, very young. And then, it weaved through my life for the next 40 plus years. And then I stepped into a yoga studio in my mid-30s, and I noticed, the practice in the studio was very different from the practice at home on my mat. It was intimidating. I went to a class that was beyond my skill level or my understanding. The teacher was not excited to see me in class. I was the only person of color and of size in class, and I was really meant to feel like I didn't belong. And I didn't like that feeling. And I never wanted anybody else to feel that way. So I thought to myself, what are some of the ways that I could share yoga in a way that made people feel welcome? And one of the ways was breaking down the asana so that more bodies could enjoy asana, and realizing that asana, which are the yoga poses, didn't have to look a certain way. And you didn't have to have a certain skill level, body type, to participate in the practice, that there was something in this practice for everyone, whether it was the asana poses or a chance to meditate or breath work, or in my case, I like to use it as a catalyst for social change, that there were lots of opportunities to use this practice as a way to bring people closer together, as a way to understand each other more fully, as a way to make peace with our bodies, as a way to move through the world that was sorely lacking when I was stepping into studio spaces, which was centrally focused on what the asana looked like, what bodies look like, selling expensive yoga clothing and mats. It wasn't really about making peace with myself or making peace with my body or making change in the world. So that's when I decided I wanted to shift the narrative for me and for people who were like me, who somehow felt marginalized by this practice. I wanted to shift the narrative to something that was more inclusive, and that's how Yoga for All kind of came about. And I had a student here in town who was practicing in a larger body, in a much larger body, and she felt like, I'm having a hard time, negotiating the poses. Can I book some time with you? And together, her and I started breaking down poses to figure out how she could go into a public class and not feel like she couldn't keep up or that the poses weren't for her. So we worked, Beth and I worked together for about 5 years, figuring out how to break down asana, how to cue asana, how to figure out how it feels in your body, all kinds of great things. And then that also added to the idea that you can make this practice for everyone, but you have to pay attention. You have to be kind. You have to communicate with your students, and it can't be solely about what the pose looks like or how the pose is performed.
Yeah, and so one of the questions I'm going to ask you, which it sounds like you maybe already answered it, but you might have something else to add, is what would you say to people who feel like they can't do yoga but want to give it a try?
I get that all the time. I must get like one or two messages a day around like, I'm not flexible. I want to lose some weight before I come.
Mm,
I haven't had a positive experience. What is great about the yoga scene now is there are so many teachers out there that are interested in accessibility and having spaces that are equitable for all kinds of bodies and for all kinds of people. So if you're nervous, the first thing I tell people is to either find an intro to yoga series. There's lots of yoga platforms on the web, and there's lots of places where you can find an intro to yoga class. And I'm kind of excited about our transition out of yoga, traditional yoga studios onto the web, because now you can get I think, more personalized attention. So if you're in an intro to yoga class and there's like 20 people in that yoga class, you're in a space where you might not be seen by the teacher. But if you're on Zoom, you have a front row seat to the teacher. And the way I teach intro to yoga in my series is it's very interactive. I'm asking questions. You get to ask me questions. We break down poses. People will often send me pictures or videos of their asana, and I can say, okay, take your feet out wider, walk your hands back. How do you feel? So I always tell people, find an intro to yoga class where you can have a conversation or dialogue with the teacher and let them know your fears. And if they're an accessible yoga teacher and if they're at all practicing the philosophy of yoga, they're there to help you and they're there to serve. And that would be the best place to start. I always tell people, if they're really intimidated by yoga studios, hit your local community center or YMCA or Urban League and see if they have beginner classes or introductory classes to yoga, because those spaces are very much public spaces. So I find that they're less intimidating. And I've encouraged a lot of new teachers, if you're looking for a space to begin your teaching practice, but sometimes you can approach a local library and offer a series in the library. And again, it's a very public, non-threatening space that makes people feel comfortable to come in, and it takes some of the intimidation factor out of it. And I know lots of people who start in community spaces and end up with eventually perhaps graduating to a yoga studio space. I find another place, if they're running an intro series or a beginner series or a gentle series, sometimes if you belong to a gym, that can sometimes be helpful if they have those kinds of series, because again, there's less of that intimidation factor of being in a studio that maybe only offers yoga. I just like yoga in unconventional spaces. If there's a yoga at the park somewhere, that can often be a place where people feel less intimidated to come into the space. But I find now more than ever, you can really find specialized classes, especially now that we're all doing yoga online.
Yeah, thank you. Those are some really great examples and tips for our community. So, do you think there's still a misconception about what a yogi looks like and what progress has been made in terms of representation?
Well, I think a lot has changed, I'd say, in the past 5 years. I've been teaching full-time and professionally for 15 years, where this has been my primary job. Prior to that, it was my secondary job. I worked as an accountant and I taught yoga. So I've been in the yoga industry for over 30 years. And in the beginning, it very much felt exclusive. And I mean, it still does in certain places, and there's still a long, long way to go. But when we are now starting to see more representation in mainstream publications, online, and clothes brands, that's changed from 5 years ago, when you would never have seen, a person of color on front of a major yoga magazine, or a person of size on the front of a yoga magazine, or even in yoga clothes advertising. Like, it was a certain size, a certain look. And I'm noticing more and more now, and especially since we've had a revolution with Black Lives Matter and diversity pushes in the past couple of months, everybody's more interested in changing the landscape. Because for a long time, it looked a lot like white women wellness. Like it looked like very white spaces. And I felt that way stepping into those spaces, often being the only person of size, often being the only person of color. And I've noticed quite a bit of a change. And so that is exciting to me. Do we still have a long way to go? Absolutely, right? It'll be great when we can see a plus size person on the front of a fitness or yoga publication without some kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? A side or split cover. And those of you who know about that debacle will know what I'm talking about, where this person is front and center and we're not saying, you know, well, we had to put a bigger person on the cover, so we're going to put a smaller person on the split cover. So that kind of stuff happens all the time, where they produce two covers for a magazine. And I'm hoping that those days are over, and that we're all speaking up, that everybody gets to show up in the world exactly as they are without apology, and yoga is no exception.
Yeah. Great, and I hope so too.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
we're working on it. We're getting there.
Yeah, and you and Jessamine Stanley, and there's a ton of wonderful yogis and activists out there that I really think are
pushing the boundaries for sure. Yeah.
And so, well, I'm gonna wrap up so you can get going with the just 10 minutes yoga. So where can viewers find you online?
I'm online a lot now. So I have my own yoga platform called yogaforeveryone.tv. And you can take classes with me, classes with a lot of teachers that I have trained. And we do a little bit of everything on that platform. We have a lot of beginner series, introduction to the poses. You can also check me out on DianneBondyYoga.com, and everywhere that I teach online will be featured on that website, because I teach for Yoga International, I teach for Omsters, Yoga Girl, Live Kick, you know, Warrior Flow. Now that everything's online, there's lots of opportunities to teach with me or to practice with me. Also, I have a YouTube channel, Dianne Bondy Yoga, where I upload a new video every week, answering your questions and putting down yoga poses and just offering, you know, ways to connect your body that are joyful and fun and inspiring, and, you know, all the things that we want from our bodies, just to show up and enjoy our bodies exactly as they are.
Well, you're fabulous, and I keep telling you this. So before you get into the flow, do you want to just give a little bit of an explanation of what just 10 minutes is and what you hope people get out of it?
Yes. So lots of people will say to me, this just 10 minutes I've been doing probably for about 2 years, where people will say to me, like, how do you stay consistent? I don't have time, right? That's the biggest thing. I don't have time. I don't have space. Those are the two things that keep people from practicing, because there's this idea that if you go to yoga class that the practice has to be 90 minutes or 75 minutes or 60 minutes. And a lot of us have very busy lives. I mean, I have 2 teenage sons that are in travel sports, and I'm an entrepreneur, and I have a lot going on. And as much as I would love to be able to roll out my mat for 90 minutes every single day, it doesn't always happen. Like, my life doesn't always lend to that. So I have put together a series of like just 10 minutes. Like, if you could just do something for 10 minutes that would make you feel better, you can do yoga in 10 minutes. And today we're going to do it right in our chair, which is really fun. And it's just a little bit of joyful movement that can uplift your spirit, make you feel better. Maybe if you've got that little bit of pinch in your back, help you with that. And just another opportunity to enjoy your body. And I feel if I have 10 minutes to scroll through Instagram or to watch numerous videos on my new obsession, which is TikTok, then I have 10 minutes to do something that is going to make me feel better and is about self-care, right? So this is the way I sell it to myself. I can scroll Instagram, Facebook for 10 minutes, or I can get a little bit of joyful movement that'll elevate my spirit and help me to show up in the world in a more joyful place. So I'll pick the 10 minutes there, and then 10 minutes later, I'll go on TikTok. But anyway, I just think we have that ability, and that your yoga practice can be done anywhere, anytime, and in as little as 10 minutes.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today, for having this conversation. And I am going to shut my camera off now so you can have the screen to yourself to show our community what just 10 minutes looks like. So thank you so much. And
Wonderful.
thanks for everyone watching at home. Bye.
Thank you, Chelsea.
Thanks.
All right, just 10 minutes. So if you're joining me and you happen to be sitting in a chair, I'm going to ask you to place your feet flat on the floor, if that's available to you. If you need to scoot forward a little bit in your chair in order for your feet to touch the floor, that's great. If you're not able to place your feet on the floor or to sit with your feet flat on the floor, go ahead and press down through the back of your legs, your bottom in the chair. And now what we're going to do is just bring our hands to rest in our lap. Tuck your shoulder blades onto your back and make sure that your chin is parallel to the floor. So we really want to lengthen out through our neck. I'm going to take off my jacket because I'm already starting to feel warm from that little bit of effort I've done. So pushing down into your bottom or into your feet, rising up out of the crown of the head as though you were making your spine a little bit taller. And then pulling the lower tips of the shoulder blades together so that your collarbones expand and you can take maybe a deeper breath. And then if it feels comfortable to do so, you can close your eyes. Or if it doesn't, cast your gaze downward. And I just want you to notice your breath. Notice how you breathe in through the nose, and notice how the tip of your nose, or the breath at the tip of your nose, the air at the tip of your nose is cool as you breathe in. And then as you exhale, you can exhale out through your mouth to start and just make a sound like you're sighing. So inhale, deep breath in, lift the chest, lift the heart. And as you exhale, allow yourself to soften. So think of it as a wave, perhaps at the beach or the ocean or at the lake, that the wave on the inhale becomes expansive in the body, and the wave on the exhale becomes a little bit more contracted. So let's do that for a few minutes. Inhaling in through the nose, perhaps, and exhaling out through the mouth a couple times with that ah sound. Pressing down to the feet and noticing our connection that our body makes with the floor, with the chair that we're sitting in, with our breath. So it's about being in our bodies in this moment. And feel that. And if you want to sigh here, that's a really nice way to just like connect with your body with that sigh. And now you can close your lips and see if the breath, if it feels comfortable to do so, see if the breath can move in through the nose, out through the nose. And keep that ha sound by just a slight constriction in the back of the throat so that your breath has just a little bit of texture. I call it Darth Vader breath. I mean, it doesn't have to be so loud that your neighbors can hear it, but it's just a little bit of a connection to that breath, a little bit of swirling in the back of your throat. Good. And let's do a few of these breaths. And I'm going to wheel back a little bit because we'll do a little bit more movement. Now I'm going to invite you to breathe in for a count of 2. Hold for a count of 2. And breathe out for a count of 4. Breathe in for a count of 2. Hold for a count of 2. Breathe out for a count of 4. And just do a few more of those yourself. Inhale for 2, hold for 2, exhale for 4. Notice how you feel. And now, as you continue to breathe, I'm going to invite you to scoot forward onto the edge of your chair, placing your hands on your knees. And we're going to do something called cat-cow seated. So take your feet out a little bit wider, pressing them into the floor, pressing down through your seat. Let's curl the shoulders back, lift the gaze, look up on the inhale. So when it's expansive, inhale. And then when we contract, we're going to tuck the chin to the chest, round and look down toward our lap, rounding the upper back. Inhaling, lifting the heart, lifting the chest, looking up, and exhaling. So as you're moving through the breath, you want your inhales and your exhales to be equal. So perhaps you're inhaling for a count of 2 and exhaling for a count of 2, or one part. Inhale one part, exhale one part. And think about rolling your shoulders back and maybe taking your arms out a little bit wider and rolling forward. Hands on the knees. And you can even get bigger if you want. Arms can come up, hands can come down. So hands can rest on the knees, arms can get wide. You can be really creative with what feels good in your body. So there's, like I said, there's no one way to be in your body. There's no one way to practice. It's what your body can do, and being mindful and appreciative in the moment for how your body shows up for you each and every day without fail. It may not show up in the way that you want it to, but it does show up, and it helps you to navigate the world. So we can look at this practice as an opportunity of appreciation for how our body shows up in the world. So let's do 2 more of these. Curling the shoulders back, lifting the gaze up, and then exhaling, tucking the chin to the chest. Now coming back through seated, pressing down through the sit bones, let's take a twist. Taking your left hand, placing it on your right knee, taking your right hand on the chair behind you, let's press down to our seat, and from beneath our rib cage, let's twist and look over our shoulders, kind of taking our gaze back behind us. Head is the last thing to come around. Inhale back through center, and now take the right hand to the left knee, left fingertips on the chair, lengthen, get really tall in the spine, and then twist from beneath the rib cage. And let's do that one more time on the first side. So now, right hand, left knee, or left hand, right knee, I should say, twist, and then back through center, and then second side. Good. And just notice how that feels in your body. Beautiful. So making sure that you have enough space in front of you, let's place our hands on our knees and then sweep the arms out and wide, reach all the way up. And then on the exhale, I'm going to have you bend forward and touch your fingertips either towards your knees or toward the floor. And then inhale, reach all the way up with the arms. Exhale, arms out wide, and let's take a twist. So left hand to right knee, grab a hold of the chair, the back of the chair, the seat, whatever works for you. And then inhale, reach the arms up to the sky. And then exhale, right hand to left knee, left fingertips behind us, twist. And then inhale, reach the arms high to the sky. Exhale, bending at the waist, leading with the heart. Fold forward. Take your legs out nice and wide so you have space for your body. Inhale, reach the arms back to the sky. Exhale, left hand to right knee, right fingertips behind you on the chair. Take a twist. And then inhale, arms up to the sky. And exhale and twist to the opposite side. Inhale, reach the arms high to the sky, reach up. Exhale, fold forward. Open those legs nice and wide so that you can fold forward. And now inhale, reach the arms high to the sky. Exhale, hands through heart center. And now scooting forward onto the edge of the chair, I'm going to invite you to take your right ankle and cross it over your left knee. Flex your foot. So it's almost like your legs are in a figure 4. Pressing out through the palm or through the sole of your foot. Place the palm of your hand just at the sole of your foot. Pressing down through the left foot. Let's lean forward with the collarbone. So this is a little bit of a hip opener. And I'm going to slightly tip my screen down so that you can see how my legs are crossed over. And then you'll lean forward here. Take a little stretch in the hip. Only lean forward as far as is comfortable for you, because this can be a pretty big hip opener. Inhale, come up, and now we'll switch sides. Both legs come to the floor, and now you'll cross your left ankle over your right knee. Press your palms right into the bottom of your foot, flex your foot, and then gently lean forward. Perhaps feeling a stretch in the outer hip, perhaps feeling a stretch in the feet. Wherever you're feeling it, it's quite all right. As long as it's not a sharp shooting pain, you can just lean into it and feel what it feels like in your body. Good. Beautiful. Take one more breath here. Inhale, reach up, and let's do that first side again. Crossing that right ankle over the left knee, right foot is flat, left foot is pushing into the floor. Lean forward, breathe. Inhale, come up, and we'll switch to the second side. This is my favorite thing to do if you're sitting at your desk for a long time. This is a little 10-minute practice you can do right at your desk. And again, any little bit of movement is always good. And remembering to yourself, it's not all or nothing. I learned this from my friend Louise Green. It is all or something. Both feet flat on the floor. Bring your hands together in prayer. And let's twist to the right and come back through center. And let's twist to the left. A little bit of twist to loosen up the back. And then we'll take our feet out nice and wide with our toes pointing out to the right and left. I'll just tip my screen down a little bit. Taking your left forearm to the top of your left thigh, we'll now reach that right arm up and over and take a little bit of a side bend here. And up, and let's do the second side. Pressing your right forearm down into your right thigh, lifting your left arm up and over. And now let's reach both arms up to the sky. Lace the fingertips together, push the heels of the hands up to the sky. Squeeze between the shoulder blades, lift through the heart, pressing down through the feet, turning the toes out to the right and left, doing a little bit of a stretch here. Beautiful. Now release your hands back to the top of your thighs. Right forearm on the top of the right thigh. Left arm reaches up and over. And then sweep to the second side. Left forearm to the top of the thigh. Right arm up and over. And bringing both hands to the side. Inhale, sweep the arms wide. Lace the fingertips together. Push the heels of the hands to the sky. Lift the heart. And then exhale, release both hands back towards your knees. And take a moment to sit back in your seat if your seat has a back. Take a moment to place your hands at heart center, tipping your fingertips in towards your heart and bowing your head towards your fingers and just noticing what has shifted. Coming back to the breath, inhaling slowly and deeply in through the nose, out through the nose, and just allowing your shoulders to relax, your jaw to relax. You can also release back into your seat if you like. Lean back into your seat if that's possible, bringing the tips of your fingers together. This is a really nice yoga for the hands. We call it a mudra, that we can press into the tips of our fingers, keeping our palms open. Really nice for relieving anxiety and stress. Take a few minutes to breathe here. And just watch the breath. Watch the inhale. Watch the exhale. And then when you're ready, bringing your palms together and taking a moment to be grateful for whatever it is that your body can do, because it gives us the opportunity to navigate this incredible experience we call life. So it's worthy of our respect, not our criticism. So I want to thank you for joining me for this just 10-minute practice. I hope it made you feel better. I hope it helped you open up your body. May you be happy. May you be peaceful. May you just be everyone. Thank you. And that's our 10-minute practice.